Hello folks, Damien Jones here again for you today, and I thought I'd do a bit of an update video on what's been happening and where we're at. As ever, we've made some steps forward, some some good steps forward, but on the other hand the situation is still shit. Um, the first one, and probably the most positive thing to say, is that we managed to get the palliative care that had been imposed on Katie while she was in hospital. They decided to palliate her because she was encephalopathic and all, and unable to make decisions for herself at that point. Well, obviously she's a lot better than that now in herself, and we managed to get the palliative care that the hospital put on her overturned. So that is one big positive step in the right direction. Obviously, what our wishes are, at this point, is to get her on the liver transplant register. That's what our plan is, and obviously that has been denied as things stand. So we're sort of one step forward, but we're still a way to go yet. Um, Morale's pretty low, to be honest with you, in spite of what I've just said about the palliative care being overturned, and she's now for primary care anyway. And we also had the district nurse sign a form with us to say that she's for, basically for primary care, and she's for resuscitation should anything go terribly wrong again, like it did the other month. So those things are a positive step in the right direction. But at the moment, um, what our wish is to get onto you know, the liver transplant register, and at the moment that seems a long way off. Um, I'll go over the form anyway that things have changed just to show you. Bear with me. Okay, so when somebody's discharged from hospital back to their own home, you get one of these from the district community nurses, and it's full of all numbers and things like that. But what we've got in situ now is something called a respect form, and that stands for a recommended summary plan for emergency care and treatment. And basically, where are we? It's got a details on, obviously, and a date of birth and an address and a hospital number and all that stuff. Summary of relevant information for this plan, including diagnosis, relevant personal circumstances. So they've got it down as liver cirrhosis and also Parkinson's disease. I have to say, though, Parkinson's disease does appear to be really under control. Um, we've also talked about getting a family member of hers to become a power of attorney as well, to give us a bit more clout. There's only so much I can do as the carer. Um, and that person has also said they'd be happy to do that, which is a positive thing. They basically asked her what she most values, and Katie's gone and said living as long as possible and get better for a liver transplant, which is basically what we want. We want to get Katie into a better state of health and then hopefully they'll reconsider her for a liver transplant. And basically, so far, what we've managed to do is we've managed to get the palliative care overturned, as I've already said. Uh, Katie's been on a low sodium diet and she's lost weight. There's no way she could be considered obese anymore, so she's certainly in a better state to, take an anaesthetic, because the liver transplant operation is sometimes a 5 hour long complicated procedure. Um, so she's lost weight. The ascites on her stomach's gone down. She had that procedure with the band ligation down a porthole, in her body, so that she's not likely to rupture and have another horrific bleed like before. And any signs or symptoms of encephalopathy are long gone now, because she's on a medication called rifaximin, and she's also on spirolactone, and that she has to take lactulose 3 times a day to flush any toxins that the liver isn't processing from her body that way. And so in that respect, symptomatically, she's a lot better. However, we have hit a milestone, as we often do in this fucking awful situation. Katie's red blood platelet count is low, and she's also become malnourished and weak as a result. So she's feeling pretty crappy at the minute. She also had a bout of diarrhea a few days ago, and that was because of eating largely salad-based meals all the time. But we're on it, and she now understands that she's gonna make herself ill doing things that way. And as long as we keep the sodium level low, she's got to eat at least 3 times a day, basically. Otherwise, she's going to become malnourished and run down. So, as I say, that's kind of where we're at the moment with Katie. She's feeling crap at the moment. She's feeling poorly. But we're on it. And that's where we're sort of at. Other than that, the other thing that's been a problem has been having these carers coming in. Now, originally the hospital interfering when it was sending them in 4 times a day, and they come at such irregular times as well, which is an absolute freaking nuisance. But the main problem is the morning call, because sometimes Katie can be up really late, sometimes into the early hours. Well, most times into the early hours. We're both night owls. And I'm having to be dragged up early in the morning to let these bloody idiots in, just so they can do a bit of fucking cleaning for us. I mean, that's their only use, really. I mean, I do everything else, that they're not either allowed to do, or that they're just not competent to do. So, effectively, they are a useless implement in Katie's care here at home. I mean, they basically come in. We've had the calls knocked down to just 2 a day. It was 4 times a day originally, but we've had that knocked down to 2 a day. But still, these assholes come in the morning, and they come in later on in the day as well. And there's nothing for them to do, really. I mean, we're just using them to do cleaning, which, frankly, I'm perfectly capable of doing myself. And between you and me, I do a much better bloody job of it as well. Yeah, I mean, they can't even clean the bath out properly, for God's sake. I ended up doing it myself in the end. Absolutely useless they are. I really resent them being here. Yeah, but as I say, me and Katie were pretty much night owls anyway, but we have to do certain things of a night which drag on into the early hours. Let's just say toileting, things like that, because Katie has sort of like bowel disease anyway. She's had previous operations on that, as I once spoke about before, without getting graphic. Um, yeah, so sometimes that can drag on into the early, well, most times that drags on into the early hours. And then, of course, I have to try and get some sleep. And, for quite some time now, I've been getting along on, say, 3.5 and 4 hours sleep a night, which just isn't enough. So, as you can imagine, morale and energy, coupled with the fact that Katie's ill, has plummeted. But Katie says she's going to get onto the OT and see if we can get these dickheads taken out altogether, or at least get rid of the morning call, for God's sake. I mean, how many times does one house need to be cleaned? They already said they weren't happy with them only doing that, but that's the only use we got for them. We got everything else covered here. So, yeah, we've got that torment on top of everything else. And as I say, with Katie not being so great right now, I'm trying to think of myself. I'm thinking to myself, well, how the hell am I supposed to get her into a reasonable state of health so that they'll actually consider her for the transplant register? But ultimately, we know that's what we've got to do. Yeah. And that's where we're at, really. That's the update. Do you want to add anything on? No. It's about right, isn't it? Yeah. Well, other than that, her teeth are playing her up. While she was in hospital the other month, while she was not herself, she'd been sticking her hands down her throat and she'd gone and broken some of her teeth. And now, as with most things here in the UK, we've got to wait for absolutely ever to see a damn dentist. Other than that, because she lost weight, she does wear a top plate and a partial top plate, should I say. And that doesn't fit anymore, so she's uncomfortable with that too. And I think really, I mean, that's gone and impeded her. Well, it's put her off eating as well, really. I just hope we can pull things around, you know. I just hope we can get back on track. But as I say, today's Sunday, and we can't do nothing about it, so we've just been sort of mopsing about, really, the weekend. Yeah, we've got a lot to do this week, as usual. And sadly, we're still going to have these assholes coming in. Oh, they're useless. They really are useless. They they can't even speak English properly. They're all they've all the ones that've been sending in. They've been uh, mostly people from India. Uh, they're good for cleaning, but I mean, I'm not saying that's the case of all Indians. Don't get me wrong. This is not anything racial. It's just a case of they're just not up to the job. And also, they're a bloody encumbrance, frankly. Having to get up like at ridiculous o'clock in the morning just to let them in, when really a lie in is what me and Casey would normally do. When we're normally mid morning people, before any of this started going wrong. We were really mid-morning people. Um, because obviously, because of the circumstances that I've spoke of before, we don't, it tends to drag into the early hours anyway, and so we kind of need that. We need that extra time, and we're just not getting it. Oh, wouldn't it be lovely if there were no dramas? Wouldn't it be lovely if, let's say further down the line, they did accept her for the transplant and everything was successful, you know? We'd be able to just pretty much, well, we wouldn't just be able to go back to normal. We'd be able to go back to even better than before. Because, I mean, this problem that she's got with her liver has obviously been going on for many, many years. And she's been asymptomatic until more recently, until things really got bad. If only we'd have known earlier, but that's the nature of this one. You don't know you've really got any problem with your liver until it's so damaged that you're having problems. She done absolutely nothing to deserve this. It's not like she was it's not like she was an alcoholic or a junkie or anything like that. It was just, yeah, tablets really that the GP put her on, and that she just took in good faith for many years. They've contributed to this liver injury, shall we say. And other than that, just fatty liver, which is what caused this, really. Fatty liver that got out of control over time. And do you know what? Many of us have a fatty liver. Many of us. You don't even have to be, considered obese to have a fatty liver. Anybody can have one, and be as skinny. Yeah, George Michael had a fatty liver. There have been many people, in the public eye, like, that have had a fatty liver. It's basically the Western diet what's really to blame here, but, it is what it is. And probably, they reckon about 80% of us have got some degree of a fatty liver, but over the time the bile ducts start to fail, and the liver becomes inflamed, and it's a tough organ and it heals itself, but as it does this, it lays down scar tissue, and so very, very slowly over time we've got this ticking time bomb inside us. And this pretty much happens to most people, really. But the time when, if it's going to become a problem, I mean, most of us are already in our bloody 80s anyway by then. You know what I mean? We've had our chips anyway. And Katie, she really hasn't. And we're fighting, really, to get her on that transplant list so that we can hopefully put this right. Oh, anyway, I think I've rambled on long enough. I'm gonna, with Katie, we're gonna rest for the rest of the day. We've only got those idiots coming in one more time today, and they'll be probably coming in about another. Do you know what? I don't even know when they're coming in. They please themselves. They can come anywhere in the afternoon, anywhere between 4:30 right up to 7 o'clock at night. and we're expected to wait around these assholes. Yeah, and their attitude is, oh, we have another call. And my attitude is, well, I missed the part where I'm supposed to give a fuck. You're supposed to be here for us, aren't you? But again, the whole scenario with them's just an absolute joke. It's an absolute joke. I mean, why should we have to wait around all this time? And why should we be dragged out of bed when we've had bugger all sleep just to let them in for what, 5-10 minute call just so they can, well, clean the kitchen badly? It's a joke, isn't it, all? And we've got a right to rant about it. But such is the NHS in this country and all these other interfering bodies involved. They really do. They make me sick. They make me sick. You pay your stamp, your national insurance, and these services are supposed to be. You know what? The thing that makes me laugh, ironically, that is, if Katie had been a chronic pisshead all of her life, let's take another public example. Let's say the likes of George Best, yeah. They give the likes of him, who was a chronic piss artist all his life. They give him a liver transplant, and as soon as he got one, what does he go and do? He goes straight back on the sauce, and ends up killing himself anyway. So they can do it for people like that, but for ordinary people like me and Katie, we're just expected to accept our death sentence. Well, we're not going to. And we're going to fight this. And we're going to continue to fight this. And we've already made one step forward here. And now we've just got to convince the surgeon, the doctor, the chief, whatever, bigwig, we've just got to convince him that the pros of having it done outweigh the cons. Well, I think the pros outweigh the cons greatly anyway, because the cons of not having it done is a slow, untimely demise. Now, yeah, having the transplant may not work out. She might not come out of it. But, and I think we're both in agreement here, it's better to fight this, isn't it? To have the chance, Because if she does have it, she could live another, maybe it could be 10, 20 years. I mean, how long's a piece of string? We don't know. I mean, I'll certainly say one thing. We were given a second chance when she woke up in hospital more recently, and we're not going to waste that chance. We're going to do everything we can to get her on that transplant register. But as at the moment, all we're getting is negativity back, Oh, you're not well enough. Oh, you're not well enough. Well, that's why we bloody well need it. Because she's not well enough. That's why she needs it. Oh well, there we are. I've rambled on long enough. There's my update. Oh, I'm going to try and do a happy video sometime soon. I promise you. And it'll be completely unrelated to this. I don't know. I'll dig something out and do a review or whatever. Something more like what we'd do during normal happy times. As I'm sure you'll all appreciate, those of you that watch, you'll appreciate that, at this point in time, this thing that's come along, it's turned our lives upside down. Innit? Turned our lives upside down. It's ruined everything. Me and Katie, we've had some near misses along the last 10 and a half years that we've been together. We've had some near misses, but we've always come through it. We've always carried on, and we've always lived to fight another day. And that's what we are. That's the kind of people that we are. And we're not going to give in. And we're not going to lay ourselves out and let this thing stop us. And if we're not so lucky with it, at least we'll be able to say that we tried. We give it everything we got. And that's what we're in the middle of trying to do right now, against the odds. So anyway, there it is. Rant over. We're going to begin again tomorrow. And we're going to rest for today. And we're going to see what the next week brings us. I'll talk to you all very soon anyway. Thanks for, if you've bothered to listen to the end, thanks for listening. And I'll see you all very soon. Bon voyage.